with this role?
This is a little bit more serious than I normally do. I usually play more lighter roles and smaller roles as well lately. But this has been a fun role for me to use my southern accent and play a little more serious and a little bit a meatier role than I'm used to.
Yeah.
What I find surprising about this play is kind of how unsurprising it is, in the sense of these are still issues that we're dealing with to this very day. So the subject matter and content is just as relevant now as it was 60 years ago when the play takes place. I know this was written about like a decade ago, but the fact that, even a decade later after the writing of this, we're still dealing with this, even now more than ever. It's just, it's unsurprising how surprising it is.
Absolutely. It's
Well, recently I was introduced back into theater at the Riverwalk at their production of The Trail to Oregon, where I was portraying Sun. So this character has allowed me to grow in more of a serious role and a feminine role. I'm trying to take this role way more serious, I guess, than the last one, and less improv. So it's very, it's really cool to delve into a more realistic character, I guess.
character.
He seems like a very collected person, but then every now and then he kind of lets these emotions like seep out a little bit. And I don't know if that would be intentional, but I try to make it seem as natural as possible, almost instinctual in a way.
That's great.
It's an interesting question because typically my reading material, being kind of a how to do it person, is like how to do it kind of books. I'm a photographer. I read a lot of books about photography, not so much stories, which is interesting because as an actor, we're all about telling stories. Same with my photography, I mean, it's about telling a story visually. But I think primarily most of my books, I think when I was young, I used to read things like the Bobbsey twins, like when I was a little kid. I love that kind of stuff, But I never got into science fiction so much. It was mostly adventures, but I love reading about how to put things together.
Emily is very reserved, but also very strong in her opinions. And as a former librarian who is very, very passionate about this subject matter, what I've had to really watch myself is not to get too intense about things, because it's something that in my real life I've had to deal with. And so Emily, though, handles it in a much more calm and reserved and I think more effective way than I probably have in my life.
Your thoughts on the show?
Well, it's always interesting looking at the past and the way things are perceived in the past and trying to use our current morality in those issues. Whereas, at the time, it was a matter of different moralities and different priorities. This play also kind of looks at that, but even then, those are still relative to today. The differences of opinions on what's moral and what's not.
Absolutely.
I like the classics like Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss, I liked Sneetches on Beaches. But my kind of like weird comfort book as a kid was this book called Go Go America, which was just a book about different state facts.
All right.
I don't know why. It just really appealed to me as a kid. It had fun drawings and pictures and all that stuff. And it's just, stuff like that just kind of always entertained me.
There you go.
But
I bet.
We still have all these problems with books, things around books, like drag show readings. And it's just a sensitive topic. And really, we should just be opening up the ability to read all sorts of books. And in this story, you kind of realize everyone needs a space in the library to get the information they need, and it's just, I don't know, and to take that off the shelves is really hurtful.
I did.
Absolutely.
I really like Neil Gaiman.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've been trying to get back into his works, but when I was younger, I liked the Graveyard Book, and it was just amazing. I felt like it took me to a different world and like showed me the eyes showed me the world through the eyes of a different person. So I really enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
This role is a very interesting role to me, and kind of a dream role for actors, because I get to play not only Garth, but I think there are 7 or 8 incidental characters, and a couple of them are actually bigger roles. So I have like 7 characters that I have to develop for this show, and that's a treat. You know, it doesn't always come. It's not always handed to you like that. So I'm really happy to do that.
There
And
were
I'm happy
so many growing up. My family just lived and breathed books, and so it's really hard for me to remember a specific children's book. But as I went through my career in the different roles that I had, I really tried to find books that highlighted children who were faced with obstacles in their life and then were able to overcome them. Especially later in my career, I tried to focus on finding books that highlighted girls in those situations, because I remember even growing up that the protagonist who always got to do the really cool things were the boys. And so I really looked to find books that the girls were the heroes. And you know, all of the kids in my class, it didn't matter if they were a girl or a boy, they connected with whoever the hero was, as long as you present it in a way that they all can connect with.